first-time home buyers. And it's funny, I feel like every time you buy a house, there's something new you can learn. And it's a great experience too. I mean, really, for most of us, are you going to buy that's going to be anything bigger than that? A home is a massive investment. And it's still great to get into the real estate market, even though it is pretty expensive and sometimes hard to just get in. But once you're in a great place. So we talked a little bit about getting all your affairs in order in terms of the money, the finances, knowing all the extra costs. So that I think is a big one for first-time home buyers. But when you think of then the looking for the right home and, the person who might help you think about things in a way you may not think about, you were talking about what does your life look like in 5 years?
Absolutely.
Will this house meet your needs? That's where a realtor comes in. You can get realtors who can be really specific even to certain areas, right?
Right. So the big thing is people can get overwhelmed, as you said, about buying their home, right? It doesn't matter whether it's their first home, their last home, it can be overwhelming. And so what my team likes to do is sit down and create a plan. It's not about the sale. And I think that's especially for first-time home buyers, they're like, it's just about the sale. It's just about the sale. It's not. It's about you. And especially on my team, I like to create a plan as to what does your life look like? Are you planning on having children? Are you planning on having grandkids live in your home? Are you planning on having your parents come from overseas and stay with you for 6 months? That all needs to be incorporated. Because once you buy a home, we want you to stay in your home at minimum 3 years, right? I always like to use a 5-year plan. So let's create that 5-year plan. And then let's strategize as to what works for you.
Yeah.
There is a joke, but kind of not on my team, where we go, when you buy from us, I don't want you eating craft dinner because you have to.
Yeah.
And one of my clients like, but I like craft dinner. I like craft dinner too. It's craft dinner and red wine, right?
Yeah.
Like,
But you want to be, if you like craft dinner good, you still want to be able to go and enjoy a steak sometimes too.
absolutely.
Yeah, you don't want to be house poor, essentially.
No, and so we have to work backwards. Just because you're pre-approved to, let's say, 500,000, we don't want to push your budget to the point that you live in your home because that's all you've got.
You can do.
We want you to be able to have hockey tournaments. We want you to have maybe Disney. We want you to be able to take a day off or two, not because you are house poor. So it's all, just because you're pre-approved to 500 doesn't mean that we can't find you options that you can work on. And
let's work with that round number, 500,000. What's the leeway then? Because we've heard this before, right? You're approved for this much. You get pretty excited when you think, wow, they're going to lend me this much money. But would you say if you're approved for 500, stick to 450? How much room do you leave in there?
I call it market education. Okay, so when we go out with our buyers, and the buying process is extensive. And not to be overwhelming to any of our viewers today, is the fact that I sit down with them and I go through a buyer plan. Let's figure out what you need. Do you really need a 2-car garage? Well, I actually only have 1 car. Okay, so let's think about that.
Off the list, maybe.
Let's look at 1-car garage. Do you really need a finished basement? Well, no, we're planning on having kids later. Okay, well, maybe we can take that off the list. What is absolutely necessary?
Right.
I work from home, so we need a home office. Is it upstairs? Is it on the main floor? What does your life look like?
Yeah.
And then we go from there. Now we are working a net. Okay, so you pre-approved at 500,000. I might be able to get you a home that you're okay with at 450. Right?
Those are all really great examples that, we think we would maybe know, but when in that plan, when you sit down with them and you ask them all these questions, because I'm assuming these are questions you know and you've asked all your clients, how big of a difference does it make after when you zero it in on the most important things and the things that are maybe in the maybe column and the things are like, we don't need the 2-car garage, we don't need the pool. When you have that plan, how much easier does it become then when you go out looking at homes?
Well, exactly, going to that market education, because when you realize and when you decide and understand wants versus needs.
Yeah.
I would love a white kitchen, yet if I got the house in the neighborhood on the court that I wanted,
Yeah.
and I could paint the cabinets or wait for a couple of years and get a box store that might be blue and yellow kitchen. Kitchens don't have to be expensive. They do not. You do not need to do a $30,000 kitchens. I have seen people put in $10,000 kitchens with granite, and they are beautiful.
So the most important things to consider, like you just touched on it briefly there, the location, the neighborhood.
Location.
It still stands true.